I'm 83 years old, and I destroyed every relationship that mattered because I couldn't say 2 words. I'm sorry. I thought apologizing was weakness. I thought it meant losing. I thought real men didn't back down. I was wrong about all of it. And by the time I figured that out, the people I loved most were gone. My name's Richard. I grew up in Pittsburgh, worked 40 years as a plant manager, 3 kids, 1 ex-wife, and a graveyard of friendships I killed with my own stubbornness. I'm not here to get your pity. I'm here because I see myself in some of you. The way you double down when you're wrong. The way you'd rather let silence poison everything than admit you made a mistake. I did that for 75 years, and I'm going to tell you what it cost me. My father taught me that apologizing was surrender. He was a steel worker, tough guy, never wrong about anything, if you ask him. I watched him go 3 years without speaking to his own brother over something so small I can't even remember what it was. Christmas of 1956, his brother showed up at our door with his family, tried to make peace. My father looked at him and said, "I got nothing to say to you," and closed the door. I remember thinking my dad was strong, that he had principles. That's what I learned. That's what I became. A man who would burn the whole house down rather than admit I was wrong. The first time I really should have apologized, I was 28. I'd been married to Linda for 4 years. We were at her parents' house for Thanksgiving, 1969. Her mother had spent all day cooking, made this elaborate meal, wanted everything perfect. I showed up 2 hours late because I'd stopped at a bar to watch the end of a football game. Didn't call. This was before cell phones. There was a payphone right there at the bar. I just didn't bother. When I finally walked in, the food was cold. Linda's mother was in tears. Linda pulled me aside in the kitchen and said, "You need to apologize to her." And here's what I said. "For what? I'm here, aren't I?" I remember the look on Linda's face, like she was seeing something in me she hadn't seen before, and didn't like. I could have fixed it right there. 5 seconds. 2 words. But I thought apologizing would mean she'd won, that I'd be admitting I was some kind of failure. We drove home in silence that night, and something between us cracked. Here's what nobody tells you about refusing to apologize. It's not one big thing that destroys you. It's the accumulation. It's 1,000 little moments where you choose your pride over the relationship. And each time you tell yourself it's not that big a deal, but other people are keeping score, and they don't forget. My son Matthew was 16 when he asked me to come to his art show at school. This was 1983. He'd been working on this sculpture for months, some kind of abstract thing made from scrap metal. I'd given him shit about it, told him he should focus on something practical. Art doesn't pay the bills, kid. The show was on a Tuesday night. I told him I'd be there. I got caught up at work. There was a problem with a shipment, and I stayed to handle it. I showed up an hour after the show ended. Matthew was sitting on the front steps of the school with his teacher, waiting. The sculpture was still there, but everyone else had gone home. He looked at me and said, "You missed it." I got defensive. "I had to work, Matt. That's how we pay for that school you're in." He just nodded, didn't say anything else. His teacher told me later it had won first place, that Matthew had kept looking at the door the whole night, waiting for me. I should have apologized right there, admitted I'd screwed up, told him his art mattered, that HE mattered more than some shipment delay. Instead, I changed the subject, told him we'd celebrate over the weekend. We never did, and I never said I was sorry. Linda left me in 1989. I came home one day and half the furniture was gone. There was a note on the kitchen table. "I can't do this anymore. You're never wrong about anything, Richard, and I'm tired of being the one who's always wrong." That's all it said. I was furious. Thought she was being dramatic. Called her mother's house where she was staying and told her she was overreacting. You know what she said? "Richard, in 23 years of marriage, you've never once apologized to me. Not once. Not for the big things, not for the small things. Do you realize that?" I told her that wasn't true. She hung up And I stood there trying to remember a single time I'd said I was sorry to her. I couldn't. Not when I forgot our anniversary. Not when I yelled at her in front of the kids. Not when I made her cry. Not ever. I'd always found a way to make it her fault, or circumstance, or no one's fault. Never mind. Here's what I finally understand now. An apology isn't surrender. It's connection. It's saying, I see you. I hurt you. That matters to me more than being right. It's not about winning or losing. It's about being human with another human. But I was too scared because my father taught me that admitting you're wrong makes you small. And I spent my whole life terrified of being small, so I made everyone else small instead. Matthew stopped talking to me when he was 24. It wasn't one thing. It was everything. The art show. The times I criticized his choices. The way I'd dismiss anything he cared about. The last conversation we had, he said, Dad, just once, could you admit you were wrong about something? Just once. And I said, when I'm wrong, I'll admit it. He laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. You're wrong right now, he said. You've been wrong about me my whole life, and you can't even see it. I told him he was being emotional. That was 1995. He's 57 now. I haven't spoken to him in 30 years. I tried to apologize once, about 10 years ago. Wrote him a letter. Said I was sorry for not being the father he deserved. He never responded, and I understood why. Because you can't do 50 years of damage and fix it with one letter. An apology isn't a time machine. It doesn't undo anything, but it's supposed to be a bridge, and I'd waited so long that the distance was too far. There was no bridge long enough. My daughter Emily still talks to me, calls once a month, visits twice a year. But there's a distance there. I can feel it. I asked her, do you remember me being a good father? She was quiet for a long time. And then she said, I remember you being there, but I don't remember you being wrong. Ever. About anything. Does that matter? I asked. Yeah, Dad, it does. Because it meant we were always wrong. And that's exhausting. I go to therapy now. At 83, finally learning things I should have learned at 28, my therapist asked me, what were you protecting by never apologizing? I said, my pride. She said, what did that pride cost you? I started crying. First time I'd cried in front of another person in maybe 50 years. It cost me my son, my marriage, the respect of my children, friendships that could have lasted a lifetime. All because I thought saying I was wrong would kill me. Turns out, not saying it killed everything else. Here's what I need you to hear. If you think apologizing makes you weak, you're doing what I did. You're confusing strength with rigidity. Real strength is being able to look at yourself and admit when you've hurt someone. Weakness is needing to be right so badly that you destroy the people around you to maintain the illusion. Ask yourself, when was the last time you apologized? Really apologized. Not, I'm sorry you feel that way. Not, I'm sorry, but just, I was wrong. I hurt you. I'm sorry. If you can't remember, you're in trouble. And the people around you are suffering. I think about all the moments I could have salvaged. The Thanksgiving dinner in 1969, Matthew's art show, the 100 fights with Linda where I made her feel crazy instead of just admitting I'd messed up. It would have taken seconds, and I couldn't do it because I thought my pride was more valuable than their hearts. Last month, I wrote Matthew another letter. I didn't say I'm sorry once. I said it 40 times. I listed everything I could remember. Every time I'd been cruel. Every time I'd dismissed him. Every time I'd chosen being right over being his father. I told him I didn't expect forgiveness. That I didn't deserve it, but that he deserved to hear it. He called me 3 weeks later. We talked for 20 minutes. It was awkward, painful, but he said, thank you for saying it. We're not close. We may never be, but we're talking, and that's more than I had before. Don't wait until you're 83. Don't wait until the people you love have given up on you. If you owe someone an apology, do it today. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Today, Because here's the truth. You're not protecting yourself by holding out. You're destroying yourself, and everyone around you can see it except you. Stubbornness isn't a virtue. It's cowardice dressed up as strength. And by the time you realize that, you might be standing where I am, alone in a house full of regrets, trying to figure out how to rebuild bridges you spent a lifetime burning